Hello, everyone. Saturday. Oh, I've been so busy. I think I've been busier today than I have been every other day. You're about to see my back of me for a moment. All right, I'll give you a couple of minutes to get on board. I hope you're all doing well. For the people who come and join me later or watch me after the live, and I know there's some of you because you still comment, I'm so glad you get something out of these, especially watching them back again. It's really nice to know that they are appreciated. Okay. I will start. Well, there goes my iPad. I will start with the Animal Spirit guidebooks. Now, I know some of you online. Hey, Moira, how are you going? I know that there's one person online who can't comment. I'm not sure if she's online at the moment, but I just want to say hello, Jane, if you're here. We have to work out why you can't join the group. It's really strange how you're not able to join in, as it were. So we do need to have a look at why that is. Saturday. Somebody said to me the other day, are the days all blending in for you because you're working from home? And I was like, no, I have a complete divide. So I have everything set up on my table in the dining room for my work. And then every time I finish work for the week, it's Friday night for you, yeah. Every time I finish work for the week, I put a blanket over my work. So I can't see my work because the first few weeks I would look at it on the weekend and feel like I never got away from it. So now I cover it in a big furry blanket so it can go to sleep for the weekend and I don't have to worry about it then. Okay. Hey, Erica, how are you going? Oh, thank you very much. It's so lovely to see you too. And you're back at work. I have a feeling most of us are going to be starting back to work very, very shortly. It feels to me, oh, goodness, there was a few people popped up then. Hey, Amanda, how you going? Hello, Donna. Yes, see, so you could shut the door. See, the thing was to start off with, I was doing that, was packing everything up and putting it away. And it was just depressing and getting it all back out again on Monday. So I thought if I just cover it up, then I don't have to peel it back out of the cupboard again. All right, Animal Spirit Guidebook. Let's see what Spirit has to talk to us about today. And we have spider. Okay, that's the card for today. Get a few of those round to my house. Very, very large ones too, I might add. I had one in my bathroom, in my laundry a few weeks ago, and it was a huge spider, like nearly as big as my hand. And I sort of thought, I've got this attitude, if you're not where I've got to go and you're not in my bedroom, then I can deal with you. So I left him in my laundry. And the next day, I had another one on my wall on the stairs, not quite as big, probably about as big as my palm, on my stairs. And I had to keep walking past him. But I thought if he stayed there and didn't go in my bedroom, I would be fine with that. Okay, so we have the card of the spider coming out. This is the creator of prosperity through life's work and Dharma. So I'll read that to you. The spider is an ingenious creator. Its greatest gift is weaving the thread of Dharma into a vast, intricate web that supports the spider and those around it, both financially and spiritually. It is hard work, but the spider neither tires nor becomes impatient. This card reminds us creativity is everywhere. Be process-oriented rather than results-oriented, and soon your work becomes like the weaving of a magical, priceless tapestry, and abundance follows. This is about being appreciative, enthusiastic, and prosperous. And it's funny because we're all learning to do this, not really focusing on what the outcomes are going to be rather than just being in the moment and working towards a goal. So it's sort of very different to the way we've been taught to think. The spiritual way is very different. So we're not looking so much at what's going to happen down the road, how it's going to turn out, or how it's going to be, because we're busy doing on a day-to-day basis and not expecting or anticipating, which means that we have a greater inspiration for the steps we take rather than the outcome. And that helps us achieve a better outcome then. Hey, Vane, how you going? It's nice to see some different people on board today. And I know some people do say to me they go and watch the lives later. So that's really cool. Anyway, that's the first one. We'll do the wisdom of the oracle. I thought of what I was going to do today because you are usually different group to what I get during the week. If any of you are interested in my those classes that I'm running to, I've only got one spot left in a couple of them. Hey, Carla, how are you going? So if you're still interested, you need to get in if you want to come in June, because a couple of them are only one off being full. Oh, hey, Karen. There you go, Lockdown Live. Okay, and we have the card of the never-ending story coming out here. Hey, Hayley, how you going? The never-ending story, which is card 37, and I've gone to page 36, so that's pretty good. Alrighty, I'll get ready to turn the page as well. This is about self-criticism and the wounded ego and unnecessary dramas. There is a story woven through the imperfect... Oh, woven? We've just talked about the spider weaving. There must be something in that. Oh, okay. So you're in Florida. I'll get to Florida one day. I can't wait. There is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you cannot do this, you must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of that is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you've heard here is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. So it's very much about the ego. And the ego is not a bad thing. I always say ego is not a bad thing. It has its place. It keeps us safe. But the thing is, sometimes we allow our egos to become such a big part of us, they stop us doing what we want to do by always being that fearful voice in the back of our head. Yeah, time to rewrite the story. Carla, that's beautifully put. And I feel like sometimes, people don't understand the ego, and I think just being conscious that you do have an ego is part of learning not to give in to your ego all the time. The ego can be something which scares us because we've got sort of, I suppose, climatized to being scared of things, probably from a young child. So it's a little voice in our head that stops us when we go to take chances, or, does the what if voice in the back of the head. And somebody asked me the other day, how do you know if it's your ego or your intuition? So you only have your ego and your true self. Those are the two voices you have. If it's your ego, what comes through is not coming through with love. What comes through in your intuition is the part that does come with love. So if what you're feeling, hearing, or bringing in does not have the essence of love with it, then you are dealing with your ego. So, for example, you want to, let's say, skydive. It's not something I would ever do, but let's say, and your ego might say, why do you want to skydive? Look at the risks involved. You could come down, your chute might not open, you might fall to the ground and die. And your real self is saying, you go and do it. That would be so good for you to do that, because it would really help your self-esteem. Think of how powerful you're going to do when you do something that you wanted to do for such a long time, how great that will be. It's the little devil sitting on your shoulder that's telling you, and I know that's a bit extreme, but it's the little devil that sits on your shoulder and tells you that you're not capable. You can't do it. You're not worthy of it. You're not tall enough. You're not thin enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not whatever. That is not a voice of love. That is a voice of someone who told you that when you were young, or perhaps just the way you deciphered something when you were young. And it stays with you and it stops you achieving. It creates fear. And as I said, the ego's in some respects, that's great, because if it wasn't there, we would do some things that may have been a danger to ourselves, like, don't jump in the cage with the tiger. Don't go running out in front of cars that are running past. Don't walk into the traffic unless you've made sure that there's no cars around. So, I mean, the ego has a place, but it's the ego that fights your truth that becomes an issue and problem. And being aware of it is all it takes. Being able to say, okay, thank you, ego, for offering me that advice. I'm not going to listen, but thank you. Sorry, I've got hay fever all the time. I don't know why when I'm inside all the time, but anyway. So that was a really good card to get for today, just to remind us about the ego. Hey, Sarah, how are you going? Hello, Nicole. Nice to see you on board. I was wondering what to do for today, and I thought, how about we make Saturday I'll do a live reading on a Saturday, because I don't do one on the What's Cracking, and I don't do a bonus read for you. So I thought, how about on a Saturday when we come together, to keep it light, we do a reading, as long as the reading is light. Now we have two. Hey, Shirla, how are you going? We have two ways of going around this. I can just let Spirit guide us, and we just do a guided reading like I do in the mornings, or else you could give me a theme or a question that's for the whole community, though, not just for you, a community subject. So it might be something like, what's the next step in my career? When will my ex return? When will I find a new lover? So I'm going to give you an opportunity to put a question up, and we'll do that on a Saturday to keep it nice and light, so we don't get into I love getting into the deep stuff, but it's nice to do something different. So we should go with Spirit, Moira said. So she's the first one to answer. Haley said it sounds awesome. Vane says yes. So yes, please. All right. So we're going to go with Spirit again and do a live reading so it's a live What's Cracking. I have to call it something different though. Let's have a look and see what Spirit's got to say. I'll let Spirit just run with it. I'll use I grabbed the Cosmic Tarot on the way over. You won't be able to see me shuffle so well, but I'm sure Queen of Wands jumping out here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think most of you know I'm honest enough now that I don't go picking cards out of the deck unless they come out by themselves. So we're doing a collective read, Karen. Yes, ma'am. I like that, Erica. Yes, ma'am. I remember when I worked at KPMG, I worked with a lot of guys who were ex-Navy, Army and Air Force. Like, they were quite high up too in their regiments, whatever you like to call it. Anyway, I had this guy and he was just lovely. And he used to call me ma'am all the time. Oh, I'm sorry, there's just something about somebody calling you ma'am that just makes you feel so good. So it was really nice. I'd be like, what would you like me to do next? Because he was just always, yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, let's see where we're up to. Okay, so we've got the Ten of Cups coming out. Oh my goodness, guys, all our ducks in a row. There we go. That's our main theme here. Now, you must remember that even though I do these on a daily basis, thank you, Vane. Even though I do them on a daily basis, they may not necessarily come true today. The whole reason being is we're working with divine timing. If our balance isn't right, then it's unlikely we're going to see this straight away. So we'll just always be very, very... I've got readings now. So I've been told about some things in my life for probably more than 20 years. So And I remember when I first got told things about myself that I was going to achieve, I remember thinking that just seems so far away and out of my depth. I never thought things would come true, especially things like twin flame stuff. Like, I just went, yeah, all right then, whenever, whatever. And then the other day, because the readings that I have had done probably now 3 to 5 years ago are just starting to unravel now. So, yeah, don't ever think because a reading doesn't come true in the allocated time or within a time frame. The one I had the other day, the girl isn't on YouTube anymore, and I had it was 3 years ago. It was 2016, 2017, and I was blown away because I came across it out of the blue, and I was absolutely blown away. She was describing everything that was happening in my life right now, everything. And it was just such a blast. Wow. And the worst part was there were 2 parts to the reading and I could only find part 1. So I was like, wait for your next installment. Okay, so we have the Ten of Cups coming out. So the Ten of Cups is a card of feeling like you've got everything right. Everything in your life is falling into place at the moment. It might mean that you've got a job that you're really enjoying, you have love in your life, and everything is sort of feeling really good. It's sort of like the little sun card. It's joy and happiness. Now, the other thing with the tens is they are the end of a cycle. So sometimes when we come to the end of a cycle, it means that we're ending this particular cycle in a really good place. So we're moving into the next phase of our lives with a lot of stuff in order, which is what we want. Look what's behind that. So we have the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups is a card that shows a very mutual relationship between two people who really see eye to eye. Now, it can be love. But it can also be a relationship between two soulmates. So it could be someone you're very close to, it can be a family member or a friend. With these 2 cards here, I feel like there may be something going on between you and somebody that you're very close to at the moment. We don't discount love though. 8 of Swords coming out behind that. So the 8 of Swords is a card of being sort of stuck in your own head, being sort of confused by things, going round and round. It's the card of the overanalysis paralysis. This is a prison of your own making, though. So sometimes we get so caught up in our thoughts that we forget that there's a world going on around us, and we just get trapped in that, just going round and round thinking. Don't be worrying about it, though. I have a feeling here that something's been happening here that's about to change. There's great change coming in here with this Ace of Wands. If you've been worrying about somebody here that maybe you've just started some sort of relationship with, maybe this person sort of makes you feel like you've got what you want now. It could be someone from your past. I won't discount that. But whoever this person is has made you feel really worthwhile in the past here. And I feel that there's a great deal of stress over this. So it may be that you're worried that the other person doesn't feel the same. Maybe you're worried that you won't have the love from that person going forward. And I want to say to you with this card here that you've experienced something beautiful already. And there's about to be either a new start here or a return for a new start. Yeah, and we have the Three of Cups coming in behind here. So the Three of Cups can talk about, you may be dealing with a water sign here. The Three of Cups can talk about a third-party situation, a relationship that's been interrupted by something else. Sometimes this can be, and I see it a lot with personal readings, where someone's got interference from a mother, a past partner, and sometimes the relationship doesn't get off the ground because of that. But it could be what you're worrying about here from the past with this Eight of Swords. So maybe you wanted to have something with someone. Maybe somebody did feel you very happy. Somebody gave you such a lot of pleasure here, but something stood in between you coming together. And as I said, you could be dealing with a water sign. Now, if this isn't a relationship for you here, it could be that something's come between you and a mother figure. You could have had some sort of issue or problem in the past where perhaps things haven't gone so smoothly. Something's about to change though, because you're getting a brand new start here, so it's really nice. Over analysis paralysis, Penelope. I love that. I don't do that so much anymore. I used to be really, really bad with the overanalysis. I've learned how to quiet my mind down a little bit. Okay, let's go. All right, so here we have here. Oh, Nicole, I wasn't going to do personal readings. I was just going to do a general reading, honey. So it's just a general read. So if you'll get something from it along the way. Okay, so we've got the Five of Swords here. So the Five of Swords talks of conflict. Now, it can be conflict between you and another person. And certainly if we're talking about somebody here, it could be a relationship or, some sort of conflict between you and a family member. It could be a conflict between you and a good friend, because the soulmates can represent friends as well. So the Five of Wands talks about conflict. It can talk about conflict between two people, but it can also talk about conflict with yourself. So going through some internal turmoil here, questioning, wondering if you're doing the right thing, that should I, shouldn't I, do I, don't I, will I, won't I, that type of feeling here. Okay, so we have the Nine of Pentacles. So the Nine of Pentacles talks of being very independent, feeling really good in yourself. And I'd say with that Ten of Cups coming up at the beginning, for the most part, maybe you're very happy in yourself at the moment. Maybe you do feel very strong, very independent, and very, very sort of in tune with the universe here. Six of Wands, but you want a victory at something. Something here tells me that you're waiting for something to happen that you've been waiting on, that you want a victory in. Now, the Six of Wands is about recognition. And I always think, it's that time when somebody finally sees what your value is, sees your worth, and understands your okay, I understand. Sorry that I've got a message coming through while I'm talking here. I'll just get it out the way. All right, and then we have the Prince of Wands. So I feel like you've been waiting for some sort of communication here. Perhaps you've left someone on bad terms. Maybe you walked away from each other after some sort of tiff or argument. And I feel like for some of you here, maybe this person, whoever they are, be they romantic, family or friend, I feel that you haven't spoken to this person in a while. Perhaps you feel ultimately that it's the other person's place perhaps to speak up, say something. Maybe you've tried, but it hasn't really come about. But somebody is coming in here. Somebody is coming in very passionately here to have that conversation. So if you've been waiting on someone to come in or return, there is movement here for sure. We do have the King of Wands. So you could be dealing with a Leo, Sag or Aries. The King of Wands he's a lovely king. He is very much a leader. He takes charge. He's a man. He does what he needs to do when he needs to do it. He is very powerful, but not spoiled by his power. He's not manipulative. And he's taking the lead here. So you've got someone here who is going to take the lead in something. Now, it doesn't have to be male. It can be a female. It can certainly be a woman who has perhaps realized your value and is moving back towards you here. All right, so there's definitely some sort of offer coming in. Now, the Prince of Pentacles for me is an offer of something, because he has this lovely pentacle. It's an offer of something tangible, something solid. I have always this lovely feeling with the Prince of Pentacles that this thing he has to offer, although he's taken time to do it, can be some sort of gift. So it could be an apology. It could certainly be some sort of promise or sort of contract. So you could have someone here who's going to offer you something quite substantial. Let's keep going. All right, Ten of Swords. That's not one of the nicest cards, though. Somebody here has had to finish out some sort of cycle. The Ten of Swords represents like this is the dying from your thoughts card. This is the end of it. This is the end of negative thinking. The Prince of Pentacles, it can be the Knight. The Prince and the Princess come out in this deck, Sarah. So it's not the Page and the Prince, as in other decks. It's the Prince and the Princess. So I always read the energy rather than the actual meaning of the card. So sometimes it's sort of a bit of my interpretation too. The Prince in the traditional deck, the Knight and the Page. The Knight is the action card and the Page is inaction. So the Page is messages. But I always feel that the Pentacle represents so much more than money. Some people see it as money, as something solid like that, but I don't always see it that way. The Pentacle for me often represents some sort of gift, some sort of contract, some sort of agreement to something. But they're slow movers, the Pentacles. They're all slow movers because they represent the earthy part of us, the part that is strategic and planning. So this is the end of some sort of negative cycle. So I feel like whoever's coming towards you here has probably thought a lot about how to present themselves in this particular situation. So if it's been someone that you've had some sort of tiff with and haven't spoken to, it could be that this person has been this snail. Thanks, Sarah. This person may have been trying to end something else out, trying to maybe think about how to manage a situation too. How to present this. So you could have someone that wants to make an apology, but perhaps is finding it difficult to sort of drop their pride and come in. Let me just put some more cards down. Okay, Five of Pentacles coming in. So the Five of Pentacles talks of, it can be a very sad card. It can talk of depression. It can certainly talk of someone being left out in the cold. And I feel like that's what's happened here. Okay, and then I have the Seven of Cups, which of course is the confusion, delusion, illusion card. And I do have the Ace of Cups at the end. So there is definitely for somebody here, there's a great deal of love going to be offered. But this person is trying to close something else out in their life at the moment. They're in a point where they think about this all of the time, this situation. There's some sort of feeling around guilt, sadness, depression, because this person wants to speak up, wants to say something, wants to, whether it's an apology or whether it's a gift of something to you. They've been sort of really torn apart on how to come forward here. But being that we've got this 10, I'm thinking this person is coming to some sort of decision, getting some sort of clarity here in order to move forward. The Ace of Cups tells me there is love on offer, and it could be a new start with love. So, I mean, it can still apply to, a family member or friend if you haven't spoken to someone in a long time. I guess the main theme of this is you've got someone here who is really tossing up how to move forward, basically. This is why they've been so slow. They're not really sure if, what happened with whatever the tiff or the argument was like the end of it. So you could have finished something out. You could have closed something off. You could have walked away here with this Nine of Pentacles. You could have walked away because you just didn't want to participate in something anymore. Nicole, it's for everyone. It's just a community reading. So it's for whoever it relates to. So if it's not your story, then it's not for you, but it's just a general read. Hey, how you going? A general live, yeah. So let's just go through it again, and I'll put some extra cards on. I'll give you some more information soon as we're doing this online. We have the Ten of Cups. Someone had a great deal of happiness with someone. Someone had some sort of relationship, situation, friendship, partnership with someone where they were extremely happy. So they were very content with their lot, thought this person was it. Something had happened. because there's a lot of overthinking here. So there may have been some overthinking within the relationship, but something here pulled the relationship apart. Something that had something to do with either a third party relationship. So maybe someone else was involved, someone had the choice. Could also mean that the person couldn't be with you because perhaps something stood in between you. It could be someone that lived overseas. It could be someone who can't come near you at the moment because of the coronavirus. But it could certainly be something that's held the two of you apart here. I feel that very strongly because the water sign is here on the 5 of Cups behind that. So there was a lot of sadness here. And I think with this Ace of Wands sort of stuck in the middle here, there's something is brewing here. Something hasn't quite come to completion. And you're waiting for that 10 of Swords to the swords to hit the ground. So that things can move forward. But at the moment, things are stopped. And I feel like Spirit is saying here, there is a new start. Don't ever give up on that new start. It is there. But other things have to fall into place before this can happen, especially if you're seeing this card. Because the 3 of Cups could mean somebody is working on their own stuff before they come forward. Now, because they've got the 10 of Swords here, it could also be that they are trying to make their mind up on whether they even want this situation or not. But they are thinking about it. So whoever this is that's coming in, whether it's an apology, an offer of a relationship, someone's not forgotten you with this 6 of Wands here. Someone's still got you on their mind, but they could be toying with the idea of whether they give away what they've got here to come forward and offer something, or whether they just sit back on it. Now, the only thing, because I've got the 5 of Pentacles and the 7 of Cups here, this is sadness and confusion. This is sort of like feeling out in the cold. So whoever this person is, they do miss you and they do think about you a lot, because this is definitely the card of feeling low and looking back on things and feeling quite devastated about not having that cup. So whoever this is does think about you a lot. And the offer of love is still here. Now, I know I always say to you, if it's meant for you, it will come. If it's not meant for you, it won't. Okay, but the cup is here. So that says to me there is love meant for you here from this person, whoever they are. There's going to be something that's going to be repaired at some stage or another. Now, I get a lot of people say to me, how long before that happens? Well, how long is a piece of string? There is nothing here. Like I said to you before, I've been told 5 years, I've been told. So, some people have been waiting up to 20. It just depends on how much work the other person puts in. But in my experience, people do come together. If the cup is showing, it means that there is love here. But how long that takes is up to what we see as divine timing. And that takes 2 people to vibrate at the same point. So if you're not doing your inner work, and I do say to people sometimes, are you doing the work you need to be doing? And they say no. And I think, well, if you're not working on yourself to try and understand yourself at a more spiritual level, then it's hardly likely this is going to come in the next week or 2. You have to start thinking about what's holding you back. Are you working on your self-love? Because this can represent self-love as well. Are you putting in the work to understand what's holding you back? Why are you not getting this coming in? Because maybe it's not coming in because you're not ready. So maybe think about that. So when you're leaving someone behind or someone leaves you behind, don't question why they've left you behind. Question why you're not ready. Question, what do I need to put in to get this to happen for me? Because I want this cup. So where does my self-love have to be in order for me to have it? And that's what you start working on. But I don't think this person, whoever they are for you, I don't think that they've forgotten you. And I certainly don't think that they feel you don't. When I look at this 6 of Wands, I think, well, they definitely know you're there. Sorry, Sarah. It just happens. That's it. It's just the story for so many people. You're not the only person. It's really sad. And that's all you can do is just work on yourself. You can't make it happen, and you can't manifest it. So the best thing to do is use the time to, do the work on yourself, improve yourself, understand who you are, work with your own, I guess, your own self-love, what you feel that you're lacking, because you really need to bring someone in. You really need to be in the place of gratitude rather than lack. And when you're sad and you're grieving, you come from the place of lack. Well, that's not the vibration you need to be at. So I think that it is a life journey, but Hayley, I can tell you now, there are points where you get to where you really feel that you're nearly there, where you get these glimpses and you think, that's what I need to be at. That's the point I need to be at. And you have down days and you have days where you feel like you're not quite there. And then you have other days when you feel like you're so close. So, hey, Kavitha, how you going? Yeah, the lack thing is a problem, Sarah. We do come from a place of lack. So when something doesn't go right for us, or we feel that someone's rejected us, we immediately go into that lack. There is no such thing as rejection. It's something that we've just made up in our own minds and our own hearts from our own insecurities. So going back to that, King of Cups coming out first. So I think you're definitely dealing with a water sign. Intuition plays an important part here. I also have the Devil card coming out with the Three of Swords and the King of Swords and the Star. So that's, and the Empress. Oh, stop. Okay. So just to clarify that reading, I was going to put a few cards out, but I needed to put a few more because I'm trying to understand what you can do here. This here, when you see the intuition and the Devil card comes up together, that is a it's like a fight between your ego and your intuition. And we were talking about this earlier. This is your intuition saying to you it will happen, and it will happen in the right time, and it will happen when everything's right for it to go ahead. The Devil card is the card of, oh, for goodness sakes, has it been this long? How much longer do I have to wait? I've done all the work. What's the problem here? Why aren't I getting what I want? That's the ego. So when they come out together like that, I think the universe is saying to you here, you need to be in your intuition, not your ego. It will happen when it happens in the right time. But with this Devil energy, that's what we do. We try to control, we try to drive it, we try to question it, we question why we're not good enough, we question why it's not happening for us. That's lack. If you sit in your intuition and you meditate and you ask yourself, I can almost guarantee you that your intuition will tell you what's happening and what time. This is the pain. That's what happens. We tend to keep looking at the pain rather than what is meant for us. And the Star is all about our destiny. This is destiny. These relationships are meant to happen when they happen. You cannot force your destiny, and it can't come in until you've resolved this heartbreak. Is it that you haven't dealt with the forgiveness? Is it that you haven't dealt with the lack? But something here is holding you back, and it's around the self-work. And when that person's ready, they will come in and talk. They will offer you something. So there is definitely this conversation. This is the King of Swords that has his sword held high. So there is definitely a conversation that has to occur when this is ready. So when I look at this, I think the pot's on the boil. It's probably not too far away for most of you. If you've been doing your work, it's probably quite close. But this person can't talk to you at the moment because they're still tying up loose ends. And that tying up loose ends could last anywhere from a month to a year, maybe even longer. If you're dealing with someone that has another situation that they have to work through, it could take them a while, but they are doing it. So you just have to trust with your intuition here that it is happening, and learn that the ego is going to keep grating away at you because you've not got a result. All right. What's everybody reading? Please don't stop. Okay. Yeah, the lack mentality is a complex thing. You can get into the being grateful for everything. Sometimes even when you're feeling really flat, really down, really miserable, then stop for a moment and make yourself be grateful for something. Recognize something you're grateful for. It's just like trying to smile when you don't feel like smiling. There is something within your body, if you just act a certain way, it will bring it in for you. So sometimes when you're feeling down or you've had a bit of a gripe with someone, if you just smile, it's enough to break the energy. So it's sort of getting conscious of it. And I always talk about being conscious. The lack mentality that's a human thing. And again, we taught that from children. Because we're taught from the very beginning, and especially if you came from a religious background where you're taught that, you're a sinner before you're born, really. And if you have a tough upbringing, you may be always taught that there is lack. You'll never have that. You'll never do that. You'll never be good enough for that. That's all your ego. And that is where we sit a lot of the time while we're trying to work through this energy. But I can tell you now, there are so many people on this journey, so many people. And if it means that you have to be better at yourself in order to move forward, then regardless of whether that ever comes into being, is not really the issue, because you should be living in the moment, not living in the future. So it's about making yourself better for yourself. And we read The Spider at the there's no such thing as being too old, Deb. I've met people who've been in their 80s who've got back with their soulmates. So nothing to do with age. Age is a human concept. It's an ego concept. The spider came up at the beginning, and the spider was talking. Let me read it to you again, because a lot of you would have missed it, because I think it's really relevant. Just hold on a second. I've got to remember where it is. Of course, I can't find it now. I wish they had numbers on them? It would make it so easy. I might have to put little tabs in here so that I can find things easier. But there was something in the spider that came up here, and I feel like it was really relevant. So I'm going to read it again. This is about the creator of prosperity through life's work and Dharma. So you've got to remember, you've got a life path, you've got a destiny, and that has to work itself out in its right time. But if you don't believe in destiny and just allow the universe to unravel it the way it needs to unravel, it's very hard, because you keep trying to visualize your own future, and that can be difficult. We can't predict outcomes like that. We can want things and we can ask for things, but we can't control how they're going to come to us. So it says here, the spider is an ingenious creator. Its greatest gift is weaving the thread of Dharma into a vast, intricate web that supports the spider and those around it, both financially and spiritually. It is hard work, but the spider neither tires nor becomes impatient. The card reminds us creativity is everywhere. Be process-oriented rather than results-oriented. And soon your work becomes like the weaving of a magical, priceless tapestry, and abundance follows. So this is teaching you how to live in the moment, not to worry about how your web's looked when it's finished. Just knowing that you're working on it. And I think that's probably really relevant. 17, oh, okay. Yeah, most twin flames are younger or older. I have heard really sort of weird stories about big age differences too, between people, but there is no age, there is no time. That's a human concept, and it's part of your learning to understand what that means to you, because time is something that we made. We made it up. It doesn't really exist. It's illusion. So let me just go through See, I'm past the pain. I'm past the pain. I felt the pain for a long time, but I don't feel the pain anymore. I don't feel the draw. I don't feel the attachment. And you can get to that point. Um, the love's still there. You still feel the love, but the pain is not love. That pain is from your attachment and your feelings of rejection. Um, oh, there you go. Somebody just wrote to me and said that the person I told them they'd meet has just come in. How cool. I love hearing those stories. Where are we going? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, other people's beliefs and standards are often what we're listening to, Jennifer, which is a bit sad. Hey, Susan, how you going? Yes. Oh, there goes my iPad again. And I think that that is a really strong one. So some of these here, oh, Erica, you are so beautiful. Thank you. Some of these things that, we think are part of who we are just part of our ego. We grow up thinking we are such a different person to what we are. Look at the too old thing. Who told you you were too old? Who tells you you're too young? Think about it. I mean, some of that is society. We live in a society that is so conditional. It probably isn't quite the same in every country. I do know we are very ageist here in Australia. When I went around the States, I saw a lot of much older people working in still at work, and here people get pressured to leave work when they get to a certain age. It's a very Australia is a very, I'm going to say a youthful, but it's a youthism. We seem to respect younger people here. And then you hear, like with this coronavirus, all you hear is about all the old people dying. And, it really is are very much about age. If you stop for a moment and go and look things up and you see how many older people are out there achieving things, and I talked about Colonel Sanders a few weeks ago because it blew me out because he was 50, 60 years old and he was still walking around trying to sell his recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken because he believed it was really good and nobody wanted anything to do with it. And he never gave it up on that. Never gave up on that. You see people who are much older who get, degrees, who go skydiving. So I don't think it's about your age. I think it's about your attitude. And if you have that sort of attitude and you are, I don't want to say positive thinking because that one sounds really tacky, that positive thinking. If you're in a mindset of gratitude rather than a mindset of lack, then you have more chance of attracting to you what you want. The lack thing comes from our families, and I could tell you 1,001 things now your parents probably said to you. The reason we all have poverty consciousness, we can't afford that. What do you think? Money grows on trees. You don't deserve it. You haven't been good. Why would you think you should have one of those when other people are probably much more deserving than you? Why aren't you eating your food when people around the world are starving? Your life is built in lack. That's what it does. So you immediately think that everything is about not having. And yet look at it. If you stop every moment of the day and you think about what are you grateful for, it will far outweigh anything that you're not feeling good about. So you get up in the morning, you're alive. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people, they pass over. They go a lot earlier than their years. So you're still alive. You've most likely got food in the house. You've most likely got, a television to watch. You've most likely got family around. If you don't have family, you might have friends or co-workers. You have all of that before you even start your day. But for some unknown reason, we take all that for granted. So that lack thing, we all get into that lack mentality. And instead of thinking, how grateful am I that I get up in the morning, I get to sit with you guys on here and get to talk about so much stuff, which I love to do and love to share with you. I get to meet people, I get to read for people. We get the opportunity to do all these things now because we have social media. We can't lose touch with people. We can see what's going on in the world. If you're smart like me, you don't watch media though, because media is all about lack and sadness. And it does that because that has better control of you. So let's just have a quick look at the whole idea of narcissism. Okay. So when you're trying to manipulate people, if you want to try and make people weak to your point of view, then you can manipulate them to being more easily controlled. So if you make them fearful or scared or worried about what's going on in their life, you have more chance to manipulate. Happened during the war, we talk about propaganda. That is how media gets you. Exactly the same way as your parents got you, exactly the same way as your government gets you. By creating fear, you are more easily manipulated. So therefore, if we group people off, if we scapegoat people, if we put people down, if we call people names, if we look for bad things that are happening in the world, then we're more likely to sit in that negative mind frame and think things are bad, they're not good. That's how it works. Let me just keep going back and have a look. I like to think so, Jennifer, but sometimes I think that, even the best people in the world don't always have the good intentions. Yeah, someone got their nursing degree at 48. Yeah, I've heard of people at 80 getting their degrees. I think it's amazing. So, yeah, the lack stuff and low self-esteem. But you know what? You're getting that every day when you listen to media. You're getting it every day if you're dealing with people who are stuck in that victim mentality. And a lot of people say to me they're really positive, and then they start talking. I'm like, it might be nice that you think you're being positive, but everything about your language and your body language tells me that you aren't really embracing that side of yourself that is, living in the gratitude rather than the lack. Our language has got a lot to say for it too. Mic drop. Neck minute. Okay. Yes, absolutely. I don't watch the news either, Sarah. And it's good, Jennifer, if you're that strong that no one controls you, that's great. As long as you're not controlling yourself, that's the main thing, and you're allowing. That's really important. Okay. Hey, Cherie, how you going? Yeah, there you go. Somebody else said something about learning to ride a motorcycle the other day, or bought their own motorcycle. But I watched this really cool clip on Facebook, and this woman, she obviously she was carrying stuff, and she was a more mature woman, and she was carrying stuff, and she was walking towards a hall. There was a guy there, and she said to him, "Can you tell me where?" Can you tell me where something is, the hall or something? And he said something about, I don't know, he sent her off to bingo or something. So she walked along a bit further, and she asked the way again, and someone else sent her off to some, I don't know, veterans event or something. I can't remember. And so she kept going. And when she got to the door, she said to them, "I'm here for the interview." And the person said, "Oh, they're down in the hall," or whatever else. And she goes down, and next minute she's on her drums and she's playing a drum solo. And it was heavy music, heavy metal music. And she played the drums like no one else. And I thought everybody had just presumed that she was there for bingo. She was there for, meeting for morning tea with some other group or whatever else. And she was there to play the drums for an interview for a band. And it was the coolest clip I think I've ever seen. It made me feel so good. She was really good, really good. And it was a blast. Yeah, multiple careers. There you go. There's another one that always blows me out too. Who said that we had to have one career for the rest of our life? I don't know, I was blows me out with all of those things. One marriage, one career, one whatever. There's no rule book on any of those things. They're all things we're taught as we grow up. Um, oh boy. Yeah, and I just think that, this is your life. Do what you want with it. Nobody can stand in your way. If you want to do something, do it. I hear people say that often. Oh, I'd love to have been, I don't know, I'd love to have been a forensic psychologist, but I haven't got the time anymore. I'm too old for that. Like, why? Even if you wanted to be like, what's the longest thing? I don't know. How many years to become a doctor or a lawyer? You've still got the years there to do it, and the chances are you could have been here at 20 and not had the years to do it. So there's nothing to stop you. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. You rest, you rust. That's so true. The only thing is, if you're like me, sometimes I can be a bit scattered because I want to do so much stuff, and I have all these things I want to do, and sometimes I just don't have physically the time for it. And I do like to do the more relaxing things too. And at the moment, I keep thinking, yeah, it's great for me to have time inside because I'm getting to do a lot of things I don't normally get to do. But in between all that, I'm catching up on Supernatural because I haven't watched it probably for about 2 years. I would have seen them all at some stage or another several times, but it's lovely to go and sit and watch a couple of episodes. Of a show that you really enjoy watching. So I love doing that too. But then I love doing so many other things. So sometimes I think, oh my goodness, trying to fit things into the day is a challenge. And then other times I think, wow, I've got so much done today. I didn't really know I had so many hours. But there's lots of stuff I still don't always get around to doing. It's been a busy one. Oh, wow, Jennifer. Yeah, I don't know that I could jump out of a plane. I love flying. I've flown in helicopters, little planes, seaplanes, big planes. I've flown around the world and done all of that. But the jumping thing, I'm not really sure I could do. My son, when he got married, his friends took him and gave him a flight, a jump, a parachute jump, whatever you like to call it, for his Bucks Day. And my poor son, he's such a control freak. And I thought it would have done him the world of good because it would have challenged everything he thought about. He was so pumped when he came down. He was so pumped. He really loved it. But I'm not quite sure I can do that. Yeah, a lot of people do. I remember being at, I've done some amazing things, but I remember being at TAFE. So I went back to TAFE because I didn't finish school. I was a total rebel, so I really didn't finish my schooling. And I went back when I was about 36 and started doing some courses. And there was a lot of people in the groups that we were in that had done things like that, and they talked about them. And I remember thinking, wow, all I'd done was sort of like had kids and served a husband. That was pretty much my life up until that point. And, the people talking about the most amazing things they'd done. And I kept thinking, yeah, I just got to get all this done in my time. Good. That's a beautiful thing to tell your son, Hayley. You should tell your children they're capable of doing whatever they want to do. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, that's fine. But yeah, I don't really think I could not personally jump out of a plane, but who knows? I might sort of get further down the track and do it. There's been a couple of things I've said in my life that I didn't think I'd see myself doing it and then done it. So who decides the test of what is really best? That's really cool. That is a really cool statement, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. My daughter always says to me she'd like to go skydiving, but it's not my thing, really. It doesn't appeal to me at all, nor does bungee jumping, really. Anyway, I better get on my way. It was lovely to join you all today. I've got so many things everywhere because I'm in the middle of 1,000 things and thought I'd take time out just to spend on here. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Raising kids, yes, see, there you go. I am I am glad I had children young. even though sometimes I think it was really difficult having children very young. But I love it now with all the grandchildren and the next wave, of course, because I have one great grandson, so it won't be long before all the great grandchildren come along. But thank you. I'm glad, Sarah. I know that I said I didn't want to trigger anyone today. I thought we'd do something fun. You must have been meant to hear it. And hopefully for many of you, the next few months might really prove we've got a lot of change coming through. And I keep reading people's, things on Facebook and things on YouTube and whatever else. And I think, there's so much going on in the world at the moment, and I hope this time changes a lot of people. A lot of people who are, perhaps their lives have changed quite dramatically by this virus, and maybe people will start to realize life's too short. You only get one shot at it. If you don't do what you want to the first time around, you're not really coming back to have another. Well, you might, if you're reincarnated, but you're not going to know what you've done before then. So you might as well get done what you can get done, right? Just quickly, I was doing the classes today. There's only one place left in a couple of the classes that I've put up. So if you're still interested in doing those in June, you better let me know, because I've only got, in 3 of the groups, there's only one place, and one of the groups there's 3 places. So if you are interested, oh, hey, Gillian, how you going? Yeah, I get a few people just come on it right at the end. The other thing that I had one person who talked to me about something to do with my website, and it was a little difficult to maneuver or manage. So I've had some changes done to the website, but what you will notice too is I've had some changes done to YouTube. So you can now, I've got my watermark on my YouTubes, but I've also got a donate button. So if at any time you want to do that, that would be really great. I will see you tomorrow, round about the same time, hopefully. If you'd like to do another reading, perhaps you can sort of make some suggestions. But again, we'll do it as a community thing. I'm not going to do individual readings on here. It's really hard to pick and choose between you. Maybe we can do a card reading one day, like I do on Facebook. But I will need to give a couple of Sarah, you're so funny. I need to put some mediators on. So if you are interested in mediating for the channel, let me know too, and I'll get you on board, because I think if we start opening up to card readings, we may have people come on that we don't know within our community. Most of you now know each other. And I've had some pretty challenging people on my Facebook page, being quite colourful with their language about me, and I don't really want to front that on here. So I'm going to try and get a couple of people doing mediating. So if anything does come on, you never pay attention to them, you just take them straight off, but they do get in there. So I think that's everything. I'm going to go because I talk way too much. No, I don't. See, negativity. No, I don't. I talk just about the right amount. Love to you all. See you tomorrow.